A pleasant morning to each and every one of you. A pleasant morning to you, Ma'am Daisy. I am Matthew Stephen M. Banyares, the leader of Group 6, and together with my group mates, we will be discussing about biodiversity. Now, before we proceed to the discussion, here are the learning objectives. Number 1, identify what makes up climate, discuss about climate change and its impact on our environment, and what we can do to alleviate its impacts to our planet. Number 2, identify natural resources present on Earth. Number 3, discuss pollution and its types and how it affects our environment. Number 4, identify different types of natural disasters, discuss how it occurs, and explain its impact to our environment. Number 5, identify the energy resources available on Earth. Now, what is climate? Climate is the average weather of a region over a given period. These averages are worked out for a 30-year span. On the other hand, weather is the instantaneous measure of temperature, precipitation, humidity, and near-surface wind direction and speed, which are observed and measured by weather stations. The climate of an area depends on latitude, proximity to the sea, vegetation cover, and topography. Like weather, it also varies at different timescales. The long-term mean of climate at a given place is very important because this drives the ecology and environment useful for human living. Variability in climate depends on the evolving interactivity between various components that form the climate system. In this figure shown on your screen is the Earth's climate system. Here we can see the atmosphere, the hydrosphere, the geosphere, and the biosphere. Now, we will be discussing each sphere one by one. The first one is the geosphere. The geosphere comprises the solid Earth composed of the crust, mantle, and inner core. The upper part of the crust, which consists of rocks and loose unconsolidated soil, is the most happening place in terms of energy and matter interactions with other spheres of the Earth. This part is where external energy, or solar radiation, meets the internal heat, or the radioactive heat from mantle, and where surface processes like weathering, erosion, and sedimentation occur. Crustal processes like plate tectonics, which creates oceans and mountains, and surface processes, weathering, erosion, and sedimentation, happen here, including many of the dynamic and hazardous events like landslides, earthquakes, and volcanic eruptions, which threaten our modern society. Next is the hydrosphere. The hydrosphere comprises all of Earth's water stored in liquid and solid states in oceans, inland water bodies, groundwater, and snow. A subsystem of the hydrosphere consisting of perennially frozen parts of water is being increasingly important and is referred to as the cryosphere. Water, through its wide occurrence in different physical forms, connects all the subsystems of Earth. This connectivity is in form of natural processes which allow the exchange of water between these subsystems. Through the hydrologic cycle, this exchange forms an important life-sustaining service to our environment. Water is a solvent and accommodates several materials within itself, and the hydrological cycle ensures that pure water is always available on Earth. What is the hydrological cycle? The hydrological cycle governs the movement of water on the Earth, including the geosphere and the atmosphere. The bulk of Earth's water is contained in the oceans. Approximately 70% of the Earth's surface is covered with water, and the average depth of water in oceans is about 4 kilometers. Ice caps and glaciers make up 3% of total water, and water contained in the rocks or groundwater is merely 1%. Both are involved in terrestrial fresh water supply. The water transfer is aided by evaporation, transpiration, precipitation, surface runoff, and percolation. Next is the atmosphere. The atmosphere is a gaseous envelope around the geosphere and is commonly referred to as air. The atmosphere extends up to 10,000 kilometers above ground, with a density of gases decreasing gradually as we move further away from Earth. Our atmosphere contains 78% nitrogen, 21% oxygen, 1% argon, and 0.04% carbon dioxide by volume, in addition to a small number of trace gases. The atmosphere also contains 0.04% water in the form of vapor, the proportion of which increases to 1% over large water bodies. Apart from gases, our atmosphere also holds suspended particulate matter. The atmosphere regulates the incoming heat from the sun and protects our Earth from overheating. Atmospheric oxygen supports life on Earth. Natural processes exchange heat and gases between geosphere, biosphere, and the hydrosphere, leading to variations in the composition, density, pressure, and quality of the atmosphere. Photosynthesis is a critical process which replenishes oxygen and sequestrates carbon dioxide, thereby sustaining life and thermos-regulating the environment, respectively. Next is the greenhouse effect. Out of 17% thermal infrared radiation energy emanating out of the Earth's surface, 5 to 6% gets trapped. Gases such as carbon dioxide contributes in trapping thermal infrared energy, creating a greenhouse effect. It is beneficial because it keeps Earth warm and habitable. However, excessive amounts of greenhouse gases would lead to overheating, or what we all know as the global warming. For our next topic, I will be discussing climate change. Now, what is climate change? Understanding how and why climate has changed in the past is important to identify climate drivers. It has been established that Earth has undergone through warm and cold phases in the past. The cold phases were known as ice ages, characterized by large glacial covers. There are several drivers of climate change cyclic in natures, internal and external drivers. Now let us proceed to the external climate drivers. The external climate drivers are namely solar cycles, Earth's eccentricity, orbital tilt, and precession. Solar cycles. The only external source of energy received by Earth is from the Sun, which is located 149 million kilometers away. The Sun's temperature cycles every 11 years as observed from the study of sunspots, which are dark splotches on the Sun's surface. Sunspots have been a crucial marker for understanding the mechanisms that rule the Sun's interior. Over the course of a solar cycle, the sunspots are found to migrate progressively toward the lower latitudes. Next is Earth's eccentricity. The Earth revolves around the Sun in an elliptical orbit, eccentricity of which changes from a near circular one to elliptical on a 100,000-year cycle. The changes in eccentricity led to variations in range of temperature variations on Earth. Next is the orbital tilt. The Earth's spinning axis is not vertical to the elliptical plane of its orbit. It is at an angle between 22 degrees and 24 degrees. This impacts the angle of solar insolation, which results to varying intensity of solar heat at a location. Next is the precession of rotation. The Earth wobbles on its axis as it rotates like a spinning top. This wobbling is called precession. It changes the tilt of the axis towards and away from the Sun over a period of 19,000 to 23,000 years. These minor changes in geometrical configuration alter the amount of sunlight incident on each hemisphere. This impacts the severity of seasons on its year-long revolution around the sun. Now in this image shown on your screen is an example of the precession of rotation of the Earth. These external drivers are believed to be responsible for the time interval of cooler temperatures between the mid-14th and mid-19th century, the Little Ice Age. The Little Ice Age ended an unusual warm medieval climate optimum, resulting in cold winters to many parts of the world, which are well documented in Europe and North America. Glaciers in the Swiss Alps expanded and engulfed farms and villages. The rivers and canals of the Netherlands often froze over during the winter. Famines and epidemics were more frequent. Now let us proceed to the internal climate drivers. First is geodynamics. The Earth's crust consists of continental and oceanic plates which are continuously colliding and undergoing a process called subduction. It is responsible for mountain building, seafloor spreading, and volcanism, which are all processes that shape the Earth's morphology and distribution of oceans and continents. It modulates the global climate by altering wind patterns, ocean currents, and accumulation of snow and ice. Next is the albedo. Albedo is the reflectivity of the Earth's surface. Land cover plays an important role, with ice or snow cover having a very high albedo. Water is less reflective. The Earth's devoid of snow cover could lead to more absorption of solar energy, therefore leading to warming of climate. In this image shown on your screen is a perfect representation of albedo. Now we can see here that the incoming solar radiation from the sun is being absorbed in the atmosphere by greenhouse gases. And then this energy absorbed, or the solar radiation absorbed, that is then reflected on the Earth's surface and is then radiated out to space. Next is the greenhouse effect. Out of 17% thermal infrared radiation energy emanating out of the Earth's surface, 5 to 6% gets trapped. Gases such as carbon dioxide contributes in trapping thermal infrared energy, creating a greenhouse effect. It is beneficial because it keeps Earth warm and habitable. However, excessive amounts of greenhouse gases would lead to overheating, or what we all know as the global warming. Next is volcanism. Volcanism results from geodynamic processes and volcanic events that spray volcanic materials to the Earth's atmosphere and stays there for a long time. Past volcanic events triggered emissions such as the eruption of Mount Tambora. When Mount Tambora erupted, it shot ash miles into the sky, which spread as far across the northern hemisphere and left the Earth in the midst of a year without a summer. Now in this image shown on your screen is the Mount Tambora located in Indonesia. For the next topic, causes and effects of climate change, will be discussed by Ms. Batak.
Causes and effects of climate change. Generating power. Electricity generation is the process of generating electric power from sources of primary energy. For utilities in the electric power industry, it is the stage prior to its delivery to end users or its storage. Usable electricity is not freely available in nature, so it must be produced. Production of food. Projected increases in temperatures, changes in precipitation patterns, changes in extreme weather events, and reductions in water availability may all result in reduced agricultural productivity. Deforestation. Deforestation or forest clearance is the removal of a forest or stand of trees from land that is then converted to non-forest use. Deforestation can involve conversion of forest land to farms, ranches, or urban use. Carbon emissions through transportation. Climate change has the potential to impair infrastructure, interfere with transportation systems, and endanger public safety. Another source of greenhouse gas emissions into the atmosphere that fuel climate change is the transportation industry. Abuse of natural resources. The process of using natural resources to fuel economic expansion, sometimes with the unfavorable implication of contributing to environmental damage. Hotter temperatures refer to higher levels of heat in the atmosphere. These increased temperatures can have various impacts on our environment, weather patterns, and overall well-being. More severe storms are characterized by intense weather conditions that can effect significant damage and disruption. These storms often exhibit stronger winds, heavier rainfall, and more frequent lightning and thunder. Increased drought refers to a prolonged period of abnormally dry weather conditions, resulting in a shortage of water supply. Droughts can have severe impacts on agriculture, ecosystems, and human populations. They can lead to crop failures, water scarcity, and increased risk of wildfires. Dying species refers to the phenomenon of a species becoming extinct or facing a significant decline in their population numbers. This can occur due to various factors such as habitat loss, pollution, climate change, and human activities. When a species die out, it disrupts the delicate balance of ecosystems and can have far-reaching consequences. How can we mitigate the effects of climate change? Proper consumption of our energy resources refers to using energy in a responsible and sustainable manner. It involves making conscious choices to minimize waste, reduce energy consumption, and utilize renewable sources of energy. By adopting energy-efficient practices and technologies, we can reduce our carbon footprint and mitigate the negative impacts of energy production on the environment. The reduction of solid waste materials through proper disposal involves managing waste in a way that minimizes its impacts on the environment and human health. This includes practices such as recycling, composting, and responsible waste management. By reducing the amount of waste that goes to landfills and implementing proper disposal methods, we can conserve resources, reduce pollution, and promote a more sustainable future. Making good use of recyclable materials through recycling involves the process of converting waste materials into new products. Recycling helps to conserve resources, reduce energy consumption, and minimize the amount of waste that ends up in landfills. Conserving non-renewable energies involves using these finite resources wisely to help our planet replenish its natural resources. Non-renewable energies such as fossil fuels are limited in supply and take millions of years to form.
I'm Angel May Giganto, and now we are going to talk about the natural resources. What is natural resources? Natural resources can be defined as the resources that exist independent of human actions. These are the resources that are found in the environment and are developed without the intervention of humans. Natural resources give us water, wood, food, and energy. It is not possible to live without natural resources. Natural resources refer to substances or materials that exist naturally in the environment and are used by humans for various purposes. These resources can be categorized into renewable and non-renewable resources. Yung natural resources po ay mga likas na yaman o material na matatagpuan sa ating kalikasan. Ito ay maaaring posibleng gawa sa anyong likas o proseso ng kalikasan at nagbibigay din po ito ng benepisyo sa atin. Ang natural resources ay mahalaga sa ating pang-araw-araw na buhay at nagbibigay ito sa atin ng ekonomiko na pag-unlad, pangangalaga sa kalikasan at syempre sa ating kabuhayan. Pero kailangan din po natin itong gamitin sa maayos na paraan upang sa ganun ay magamit pa siya sa hinaharap at sa susunod na henerasyon.
Renewable resources. These are resources that can be replenished naturally over time, either through natural processes or human intervention. Examples include sunlight, wind, water, forest, biomass, and soil. Renewable resources are typically sustainable when managed properly. Ang natural resources po ay mga likas na yaman na maaaring muling mapuno o mapalitan sa loob ng isang taon. Ito po ay hindi nauubos, kaya dapat po natin itong pangalagaan sa tama at maayos. Yung renewable resources po ay ito po yung mga kailangan po natin sa pang-araw-araw na ating buhay. Ito po ay nagbibigay din sa atin ng maraming benepisyo. Sunlight. It provides a source of energy for all processes on Earth. Light is used by the plants to prepare their own food. Without light, no one can live, even human beings. Sunlight is the primary source of energy on our planet. It provides the energy to keep the Earth's atmosphere warm and inhabitable. Yung araw po ay isa sa pinakamahalagang ating natural resources. Nagbibigay po ito ng liwanag at init sa ating mundo. Ngunit hindi lang po ito nagbibigay ng liwanag at init, kundi nagbibigay din po ito ng potensyal na enerhiya na maaari nating gamitin sa ating pang-araw-araw na buhay.
This is a solar panel. Ang solar panel ay isang technology na ginagamit upang mapakinabangan yung energy na mula sa araw. Ito rin daw ay binubuo ng solar cells na araw na nagtatrabaho ng sabay-sabay upang mangolekta ng energy ng araw. Tapos i-convert ito sa kuryente. Ito rin daw ay nakatutulong sa pagpapababa ng carbon footprint at sa pagsuporta sa pag-unlad ng sustainable na energy. Wind. Wind is a major factor in determining weather and climate. Wind carries heat, moisture, pollutants, and pollen to new areas. Many daily weather patterns depend on wind. A coastal region, for instance, undergoes changes in wind direction daily. Ang hangin o habagat ay isang likas na yaman na maaari nating gamitin upang tayo ay makalikha ng enerhiya. Ito ay maaring gamitin sa pagpapatakbo ng mga enerhiya na nakakonektado sa elektrisidad na ang halimbawa nito ay ang wind turbines. This is an example of wind turbines. Wind turbine ay isang ekstrukturang mekanikal na ginagamit pang elektrisidad. Ito ay karaniwang nakikita sa Benguet, Ilocos Norte. Water. Water is one of the natural resources which are found in an adequate amount. It is an essential source for the existence of life on the planet Earth. It is widely needed for drinking, washing, bathing, cleaning, cooking, irrigation, and other industrial and domestic uses. Ang tubig ay isang pinakamahalagang likas na yaman na may malawak na gamit at kahalagahan sa ating buhay at kalikasan. This is surface water. Ito ay isang uri ng tubig na matatagpuan sa ibabaw ng lupa, tulad na lamang ng ilog, lawa, imbakan at karagatan.
Forest and by the products of wood and paper mills represent a wealth of renewable resources that can be used to generate everyday materials. Biomass serves as a renewable energy source that can be converted into various forms of energy, including heat, electricity, and biofuels. Biomass energy is derived from organic matter through processes such as combustion, fermentation, and anaerobic digestion. Common biomass feedstocks include wood, crop residues, agricultural waste, and dedicated energy crops. Soil provides nutrients, water, oxygen, and heat to natural land areas. Understanding the ability and capacity of soil to support an ecosystem plays an important role in land management decisions. Air is a third critical resource for humans, plants, animals, and all other organisms within a natural area. Biodiversity is often considered more than just a natural resource. It's the foundation of life on Earth, encompassing the variety of living organisms, their genetic diversity, and the ecosystems they form. Conservation refers to the careful and sustainable management of natural resources to ensure their long-term availability and protect the environment. It involves practices aimed at preserving biodiversity, protecting ecosystems, and promoting the sustainable use of resources. Wildlife refers to the diverse range of animal and plant species that exist in their natural habitats, outside of human control or domestication. It encompasses a wide array of creatures from mammals and birds to reptiles, amphibians, and insects. These are the benefits of natural resources: sustenance of life, economic development, energy production, food production, and ecosystem.
Our next topic would be energy resources. What are energy resources? It refers to any material on Earth that can be used as a source of energy. Energy resources are mostly used to generate electricity and other forms of power for human consumption. One example of energy resources are non-renewable energy. What are non-renewable resources? These are finite resources that cannot be replenished on a human timescale. They include fossil fuels such as coal, oil, and natural gas, as well as minerals like iron and copper and gold. Non-renewable resources are extracted from the Earth's crust and are subject to depletion. Fossil fuels. Fossil fuels are hydrocarbon-based resources formed from the remains of ancient organisms over millions of years. They are a major source of energy for various human activities, including transportation, electricity generation, and industrial processes. There are more examples of non-renewable resources, and this will be reported by Ms. Rubies.
The next example of energy resources is coal. The most common uses of coal are electricity generation, steel production, and as fuel. Coal is a combustible black or brownish black sedimentary rock with a high amount of carbon and hydrocarbons. Coal is classified as a non-renewable renewable energy resources because it takes millions of years to form. Coal contains the energy stored by plants that lived hundreds of millions of years ago in swampy forests. Coal also is the largest source of energy for generating electricity in the world, and it is most abundant fossil fuel, and it is formed from the remains of ancient organisms, and it is also a non-renewable resources. Next is oil. Oil is an unsustainable resource because it is non-renewable. Non-renewable resources can be depleted and have greater negative environmental impacts. It is also called a fuel oil, and it is used for heating homes and buildings in boilers and furnaces for industrial heating and for producing electricity in power and plants. And the last is natural gas. Natural gas is a hydrocarbon mixture consisting primarily of saturated light paraffin such as methane and ethane, both of which are gaseous under atmospheric conditions. The mixture also may contain other hydrocarbons such as propane, butane, pentane, and hexane. Natural gas is the lowest carbon hydrocarbon and odorless, colorless, and non-toxic. And it provides warmth for cooking and heating, and it fuels power station that provides electricity to homes and businesses.
The next topic would be minerals and metals. Now, what are minerals and metals? Minerals and metals are extracted from the Earth's crust and are essential for various industrial, manufacturing, and construction applications. Examples include iron, copper, aluminum, gold, silver, zinc, and uranium. These resources are used in infrastructure development, electronics, machinery, vehicles, and consumer products. Iron. Iron ore is a rock that contains the element iron. It is a resource that comes from the earth. Companies and governments mine iron ore and then smelt it in order to extract the iron. Copper. It is considered a natural resource because the earth makes it. Copper is formed when molten rock has copper fluid crystallizes and forms into a solid substance. It is turned into copper because it solidifies sooner than any other materials. Then the final deposits at a high concentration. Aluminum. Aluminum is primarily sourced from the rock bauxite. Bauxite is composed of aluminum hydroxide minerals such as gibbsite, baumite, and diasper. Bauxite forms in areas of intense weathering of aluminum-containing rocks such as igneous or metamorphic rocks that are rich in feldspar. Gold. Gold is primarily found as the pure native metal. Sylvanite and calaverite are gold-bearing minerals. Gold is usually found embedded in quartz veins or placer stream gravel. It is mined in South Africa, the USA, at Nevada, Alaska, Russia, Australia, and Canada. Silver. Silver is mined from the earth and is made by nature. We cannot create it artificially, so when the natural supply is gone, we won't have it anymore. Zinc. Zinc is a natural element that is mined from the ground. When the deposits of zinc that we have are depleted, we will not be able to easily make it anymore. Uranium. Uranium has the highest atomic weight of all naturally occurring elements. Uranium occurs naturally in low concentrations in soil, rock, and water, and is commercially extracted from uranium-bearing minerals such as uraninite. Uranium ore can be mined from open pits or underground excavations.
So now we will discuss to you what is pollution. Pollution is the introduction of harmful materials into the environment. These harmful materials are called pollutants. It can harm human health and the environment. So pollutants can be made naturally and they can also be created by us humans. Pollutants damages the quality of our air, water, and land. Pollution affects our environment which causes us harm. It is very dangerous because pollution may cause damage to our home, our planet, which is Earth. They can affect us all, so we need to take extra care from what we do. We need to think that pollution destroys our planet. Pollution and environment problems. So we know that once we experience pollution, it is connected with our environment. So because of the pollution, we experience problems, and these environmental issues that we are experiencing are climate change, pollution, environmental degradation, and resource depletion. So environmental problems has the following characteristics. So it is a wide area and long term. It has cause and effect complexity. It is uncertain of reasons and results. And the victims and perpetrators are unspecified. The stakeholders also relationship is not clear. So we have 5 different types of pollution. First is the air pollution. Second is water pollution. Third is soil pollution. Lastly, noise pollution. So air pollution. So as we all know that air is very essential to us humans because that is what we breathe, that is what we inhale and we exhale. So the first one who affects air pollution is we are. So air pollution is contamination of the indoor or outdoor environment by any chemical, physical, or biological agent that modifies the natural characteristic of the atmosphere. So, air pollution causes an increase in atmospheric particulates and gas constituents which adversely affect human health and the environment. Human economic and social activities are the main causes. So, natural occurring sandstorms and mountain fires are also responsible. But those of natural origin, it may not be included in air pollution. So, the common air pollutants are the particulate matter, ozone, nitrogen dioxide, carbon monoxide, and the sulfur dioxide. So, London smog, it was an air pollution incident that occurred in England in 1952 in which more than 12,000 people died. So, smog, whose main components is photochemical oxidant, is a type of air pollution that affects health. So, photochemical smog is a state in which oxidant of a gas and fine particles of a solid components are mixed and the surrounding visibility gets deteriorated. So that time, a high pressure over the United Kingdom resulted in a cold fog covering London. So it was cold in London. So the citizen used more coal than usual for heating their houses. At the same time, the ground transportation of London was switched to diesel buses. Air pollutants such as sulfur dioxide generated from heating appliances, thermal power plants, and diesel cars got confined in the cold atmosphere and concentrated to form a strong sulfuric acid. So, because of that, people suffered from pain in eyes, had a sore throat, and a running nose, and their cough ceased to stop. So, there are also patients with bronchitis, broncholia, pneumonia, and heart diseases are admitted one after another. So, there are 400 people died. So, because of that smog, there are so many people died. It is 12,000 people and more.
The next type of pollution is water pollution. Water pollution or wastewater pollution is a growing threat to people and marine life and makes up the largest percentage of coastal pollution worldwide. Globally, an estimated 80% of wastewater, which includes human sewage, is discharged into the environment without treatment, releasing an array of harmful contaminants into the ocean and causing direct harm to people and coral reefs. Over 40% of the world's population, 3.46 billion people, lack access to safely managed sanitation services. Research shows that wastewater pollution often occurs in proximity to coral reefs due to non-existent or inadequate wastewater management, and that finding solutions can be complex and require a multi-sector partnership approach. The next type of pollution is soil pollution, and this will be reported by Ms. Mansour.
Soil pollution. Soil pollution, it is defined as the build-up in soils of persistent toxic compounds, chemicals, salts, radioactive materials, or disease-causing agents which have adverse effects on plant growth and animal health. Soil pollution is also called by means other than the direct additional of cyanobiotic man-made chemicals such as agricultural runoff, waters, industrial waste materials, acidic precipitates, and radioactive fallout. Ang soil pollution ay yan yung patuloy na nakakalason na compound na chemical, asin, radioactive na materyales o mga ahente na nagdudulot ng sakit na may masamang epekto sa paglaki ng halaman at kalusugan ng hayop. Ang soil pollution din ay higit na sanhi ng mga paraan maliban sa direktang pagdaragdag ng cyanobiotic, mga gawa ng tao, chemical, katulad ng agricultural runoff ng water, pang-industrial na basura, acidic precipitates, at radioactive fallout.
There are 7 causes of soil pollution. Una, seepage from a landfill. Pangalawa, discharge of industrial waste into the soil. Number 3, percolation of contaminated water into the soil. 4, rupture of underground storage tanks. 5, excess application of pesticides, herbicides, or fertilizer. And 6, solid waste seepage. And last is deforestation and soil erosion. So, types of soil pollution. Ang types ng soil pollution ay mayroong 3. Una po dito ay agricultural soil pollution. Meron itong
pollution of surface soil, and pollution of underground soil. And pangalawa po ay soil pollution by industrial effluent and solid waste. Merong dalawa din po ito. Pollution of surface soil, disturbances in soil profile, pollution. At pangatlo po ay pollution due to urban activities. Meron pong itong dalawa. Pollution of surface soil, pareho din po sila sa nauna at pangalawa. And pollution of underground soil, pareho din po sila sa agricultural soil pollution.
The last type of pollution is noise pollution. This will be reported by Ms. Mirasol.
Noise pollution. To understand the concept of noise, let us first get a clear picture of sound. A sound is basically a form of energy that travels through the vibrations of atoms in its medium. A sound can be pleasant as well as unpleasant in continuous exposure to an unpleasant sound. Can be termed noise pollution or sound pollution can be understood as the unwanted or disturbing sound that propagate in the environment and has a ranging effect on the well as human hearing it. The main source of outdoor noise are transportation, construction, machinery, and more. Types of noise pollution. There are different causes of noise pollution depending upon the type of noise pollution that is referred to. First, transport noise. Transport noise is caused by continuous industrialization which has been there mostly in the urban areas. Ito ang kadalasang naroroon sa mga urban na lugar, ang tuloy-tuloy na pag-unlad ng kalsada, riles, highway ay humantong sa pagbuo ng malawig na mga koneksyon ng mga kalsada at mga daanan na nagpapataas ng trapiko at kalaunan ay humantong sa polusyon sa ingay. Neighborhood noise. This type of noise mainly consists of various types of applicants, utensils, home gadget, search bill, and more. The sound pollution that has its roots in the surrounding areas of people's home is called neighborhood noise pollution. Maaari din itong magsama ng mga instrumentong pangmusika tulad ng mga tambol, gitara, ang ilang mga gadget tulad ng mga loudspeaker at amplifier ay nagdudulot din ng ganitong uri ng noise pollution. Industrial noise. The type of noise pollution that is caused by heavy and extremely loud industrial machines that are there at industrial site is called industrial noise. Ang ganitong uri ng ingay ay nagre-resulta sa pagkasira ng kakayahang makakinig ng halos 24/7. Source and cause of noise pollution. There are some concrete source and cause of noise pollution, which are listed below. Industrialization. As mentioned earlier, industrialization results in great increase in sound or noise pollution, and the reason for the same is the continuous use of heavy machinery. Halimbawa, ang paggamit ng malalaking exhaust fan, generator, at mga gilingan na nagbubunga ng noise pollution. Bicycles. Urbanization has led to an increased number of bicycles running on the complex roads, waves causing noise pollution. Ito ay nagdudulot ng ingay na nagpapahirap sa mga tao o hayop na nakakarinig nito. Events. In addition to all these public events do play their role in giving rise to noise pollution, be it weddings, birthday, public gathering, or any other event. Lahat sila ay angkop ng noise pollution dahil ito ay kinagamitan ng speaker for playing music na nagreresulta ng ingay sa paligid. Impacts of noise pollution. First, human. Noise pollution causes serious impact on a number of people daily. Noise induced learning loss of NIHL is the common problem caused by noise pollution. Exposing ourselves to high noise can cause problems including stress, high blood pressure, hypertension, and sleep disturbance.
Impacts of noise on terrestrial animals. It is not only the human population that is affected by this invincible problem that is noise pollution, but it also has its dangerous impacts on the health and well-being of wild animals. It is shown in some studies that loud noises can affect caterpillars' dorsal vessels, which are equivalent to a human heart, by making them beat faster. It also causes bluebirds to give birth to lesser chicks. Sound is a key factor in the lives of animals, and they use it to perform a lot of activities. Lastly, on underwater life. Noise pollution is a serious problem not just for the life that is present on land, but it is also affecting the life of aquatic animals. Technological operations and machines, including ships, oil drills, seismic tests, and sonar devices, have turned the peaceful aquatic life chaotic and loud. Some animals, like dolphins and whales, are particularly disturbed due to noise pollution. For the last topic, natural disaster, this will be discussed by Ms. Ruidera together with Mr. Rempis.
Natural disasters. Ano nga ba ang natural disasters? So, natural disasters, also referred to as a natural hazards, are extreme or a sudden events caused by environmental factors such as storms, floods, droughts, tsunamis, or even the volcanic eruptions. Natural disasters are now occurring with the increasing severity, scope, and impact. So, ang kaibahan ng natural disasters sa man-made disasters ay, when we say natural disasters, hindi siya human intent, hindi siya negligence, or hindi siya failure of a human system. Ganon. Parang natural disasters are resulting from natural hazards. Some examples of natural disasters. The first one is the volcanic eruption. So, familiar naman tayo sa volcanic eruption, di ba? So, when we say volcanic eruption, volcanoes spew a hot, dangerous gases, ash, lava, and rock that are powerfully destructive. People have died from volcanic blast. Volcanic eruptions can result in additional threats to health such as floods, mudslides, power outage, drinking water contamination, and wildfires. So yun daw po ang magiging effects pag nagkaroon ng volcanic eruptions. Magkakaroon ng mudslides kasi parang magkakaroon ng mabablock yung mga drainage natin, then power outage, drinking water contamination, especially po sa mga rivers and lakes po na malapit sa volcanoes, magkakaroon ng water contamination, magiging acidic yung tubig dun sa area na yun. At syempre wildfires, yun po. So, next is earthquake. So, yung earthquake, familiar na rin tayo dyan, napaka-common rin yan sa atin. So, when we say earthquake, it is a suddenly shaking of the ground or a sudden release of strain energy in the Earth's crust, resulting in waves of shaking that radiate outwards from the earthquake source. When stresses in the crust exceed the strength of the rock, it breaks along lines of weakness, either a pre-existing or a new fault plane. So, may dalawang uri din ng earthquake, the tectonic and the volcanic earthquake. So, when we say tectonic earthquakes are produced by sudden movement along faults and plate boundaries. So, when we say volcanic earthquake, ito naman yung parang earthquake na nanggaling sa volcanic eruption, commonly sa mga Bicol regions, sa mga napapalibutan ng volcanoes. Lagi sila nakakaranas doon ng mga earthquake, pero normal na yun sa kanila kasi nga napapalibutan sila ng mga volcanoes. So, ang Philippines ay laging nakakaranas ng earthquake, hindi ba? So, bakit nga ba? The Philippines lies along the Pacific Ring of Fire, which causes the country to have frequent seismic and volcanic activity. Many earthquakes of smaller magnitude occur every regularly due to the meeting of major tectonic plates in the region. So, ayun nga, yung Philippines ay located sa Pacific Ring of Fire. So, yung Pacific Ring of Fire parang place siya or area siya sa Earth, especially yan sa Asia. Basta Asia then Pacific, yun. Yung area na yun parang maraming mga trench and fault lines which is yun, kaya active ang earthquakes and volcanoes. Kaya yung Philippines lagi rin nakakaranas ng earthquake. So next is tsunami. When we say tsunami, a tsunami is a series of waves in a water body caused by the displacement of a large volume of water, generally in an ocean or a large lake. Earthquakes, volcanic eruptions, and other underwater explosions above or below water all have the potential to generate a tsunami. So, yung tsunami naman is yun, karaniwang nangyayari siya kapag may mga explosion sa ilalim ng dagat. Pero pinaka-common na nagiging sanhi nito is earthquake. Especially yung sa Japan, di ba? First nagkalindol muna. Then, after that, sinundan ng malaking tsunami. Yun, naging sobrang devastated talaga siya. Next is flood. So, yung flood, common na yun sa Pilipinas, bahain. So, when we say flood, a flood is an overflow of water that submerges land that is usually dry. So, ayun nga, common na siya sa Pilipinas, lalo na sa mga lowland areas. Kasi, yun, nagiging sanhi minsan nito is kapag may malakas na pag-ulan, then, ayan, konting ulan, baha, dahil din sa mga basura na nagbablock sa mga drainage natin, kaya nakakaranas ng baha. Especially dito sa mga cities, dito sa lalo na sa Quezon City, may mga areas dito na binabaha. Konting ambon, konting ulan, then baha na agad. So, yun, makapaminsala din siya kasi pumapasok yung tubig sa loob ng bahay niyo. Then, ayun, kaya natural disasters din siya. So, the last example is the tornado. Actually, bihira naman natin siya maranasan dito. Karaniwan nangyayari yung tornado is sa mga province natin, di ba? So, when we say tornadoes are violently rotating columns of air extending from a thunderstorm, which are in contact with the ground. Tornadoes develop when wind variation with height support rotation in the updraft. So, yun nga, parang dito sa cities, sa Manila, Quezon City, Makati, parang bihira natin siya, ma-experience dito. Is buong NCR, Metro Manila, bihira natin siya kasi nga, di ba, parang hindi naman tayo open area, unlike sa mga province, di ba, parang ang lalawak ng mga lugar. Doon kasi karaniwang nabubuo yung mga tornado sa mga open area, malawak, kumbaga walang mga gusali. Kasi parang doon yung air parang free, parang nakakapag-rotate yung air ng free. So, hanggang sa mabilis nakakabuo sila ng malaking tornado, yun. Kaya dito sa Manila is parang bihira lang siya maranasan kasi nga parang masikip yung lugar natin po. Puro gusali na, 'di ba? Puro gusali, buildings, ganyan. So, kaya mas nangyayari siya sa mga province or sa mga ibang bansa, yun.
And that would be all for our presentation about biodiversity. Again, we are Group 6, and we thank you everyone for listening. Have a good day.
Just for a minute.